Yeah, sure. So I'm Brent Maxwell. I'm one of the co-founders at stylearcade, a B2B SaaS business focusing on fashion retail,
Okay.
based in Australia.
Why did you decided to focus in fashion retail?
It was absolutely not my idea at all. My co-founder was a friend of mine, and she approached me. Her name's Michaela. She's our CEO, and she
Hmm.
approached me. I'm a technical guy,
Yeah.
and she came to me just describing her business problems, which were hilarious to me as a technologist,
Okay.
and asked me, "Hey, do you know how to build software?" And
Hmm.
so, yeah, so it was all based on her idea, and we just came together and worked super well together on the
Hmm.
side of our day jobs, chipping away for a good few years
Hmm.
until she went full time.
Hmm.
And then I sort of kept supporting the business, and then we kept growing it. And then I went full time, and here we
Hmm.
are.
So, what was the business problem that Michaela experienced and that you could bring technological solutions to?
It was hilarious for me. So, as I said, I'm a tech. So, whenever I hear about people doing things
Mhm.
manually or with paper, I'm always
Yeah.
kind of cringe.
Yeah.
And in her case, she came from South Africa originally, and it
Okay.
turns out they're quite a bit more sophisticated with the way they
Hmm.
manage fashion retail there than in Australia. And so she just told me the story over dinner one night
Hmm.
that in her job she was working as a merchandise planner. Merchandise planner is someone in fashion retail that figures out how to allocate their budget across different product categories
Okay.
like dresses or
Hmm.
shoes.
Okay.
And every Monday, they'd all turn up to their trade meetings where they discuss, how things are selling and where they should invest and where they should put things on sale. And they'd all turn up with printed out reams of paper. And
Hmm.
so all of these people would go in and they didn't even have imagery. They just kind of memorized the codes of the different products. And they'd
Hmm.
make all these trade decisions based on paper. And the more
Hmm.
sophisticated ones would use spreadsheets.
Wow.
But it was really bad. And so her idea was basically that we should just build some software that captures all of this data and provides guidance to them on how their products are performing and how they can make better decisions so that they can make more revenue and so that when people come to their stores they're not always running out of the medium size. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the short version.
I've got like a really innocent question. How is it? How do you complement Michaela? Obviously, Michaela is a female co-founder. Props to that, or female founder, one could say. It's kind of hard in or man-dominated landscape. How is it to work with a superwoman like Michaela?
Inspiring. I mean, as I kind of mentioned earlier, she was the one that had the guts to go full time. I
Okay.
mean, the whole business exists because of her.
Yeah.
She just had the inspiration as well as the
Mhm.
motivation. And
Okay.
so for me, I was following her lead very much with setting up the business.
Mhm.
And I think the way that we kind of have evolved our working relationship, I think, is that she's tended to be kind of the engine, and I kind of like have one hand on the steering wheel, I guess,
Mhm.
because I'm kind of strong in execution.
Okay.
So I've focused up very much on setting up systems and processes and providing guardrails for how we can build the startup really quickly and
Mhm.
effectively,
Mhm.
based largely on her insights about what we actually should build and why.
Mhm.
So she's kind of the why, and the what, and I'm kind of the how, I guess.
Okay. And how do you complement, say, Tristan, that seems to be like the co-CTO?
Yeah, Tristan is our resident genius,
Okay.
and he has a much deeper grasp of retail logic than I
Okay.
do. So
Okay.
he has a very good feel for that. And
Mhm.
his we've both worked as architects, like
Mhm.
technology architects. But I think just the way that he's an actual software engineer, and even though I'm a tech by background, and I've managed engineering teams for many years, he's an actual software engineer. So he came on as our third co-founder, and he actually built the latest incarnation of our product. And prior to that, we were running on an older technology stack that I had sort of cobbled together with another engineer. And so Tristan is, he has a lot of ideas around the intellectual property that we have. We've got a very progressive technology stack. We run all serverless, and we don't actually have a database, which is pretty unusual for a data and analytics product. And that's a lot of the architecture has come, and low-level details about that has come from him.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, I understand. Let's shift gears a little bit here. Retail, fashion, COVID rings to my head that it was kind of tumultuous in the past 2 years. Am I right in thinking that, well, I mean, most business got like roller coaster style of up and downs, but you guys must have been lived a pretty deep down period. Am I right in saying that? And how did you pivoted, and how did you reacted to this pandemic?
I actually can't tell you how well things went through the pandemic. We are
Really?
so grateful. So when it first hit back in March last year, it was terrifying because we help our product up until that point was what was sort of fashion analytics, and we had full insight as to how our customers were impacted by the pandemic. And we've got a mixture of online only as well as bricks and mortar retailers in our customer base. And of course, the bricks and mortar ones got smashed pretty badly. But what we found was things turned around pretty quickly for them. And anyone that had activewear in their portfolio was doing fine. One of our customers that was purely activewear, they had a 400% increase in revenue over the 3 months post lockdown in COVID from March to like end of June. So initially we cut our prices really aggressively. A lot of our vendors cut their prices, and we cut our prices. And that just meant that I think we built a lot of trust with customers to stay with us through that period. A couple of our customers the first week went into receivership, and that was just terrifying as well, because we're thinking, oh God, everything's falling apart. Luckily, between the quick rebound in activewear that just propped up so many of the retailers, as well as the Australian government providing some small business subsidies, that saw us right through the critical phase. And by August, we were back to above baseline again. So it was a pretty traumatizing like few months, but given the fact that there was a massive global pandemic, we just consider ourselves so fortunate to have got through it. But yeah, I definitely think that a big part of retaining our customer base was slashing prices straight away, just trying to help I feel like the whole global business community helped each other out. Slack, Intercom, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all of our vendors really came to the party. So yeah, it's good to be part of the network.
Interesting. And as I'm looking at the website, like I do understand that you guys do fashion analytics, but could you explain it to me? Like say I'm Shane, right? Like Shane, the brand, the retail brand. Like what would you do for me as Shane?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned this before, but last year, initially our product was focused on fashion analytics. But we kind of managed to make use of the pandemic. It aligned pretty well with some pretty intense product development that we did for a new product, which is called our range plan. So if I was to tell Shane what we did, I would say that we offered 2 products. Our fashion analytics product helps you understand exactly how your products are performing at a glance. We provide guidance in the app quickly and easily so that you can see how your products are not selling across all of your categories or across any other dimension that you're looking for. We help you figure out profitability at a glance. We help you figure out what you need to, how your sizing is going. We help you figure out how your what you need to put on sale. And you can collaborate with your whole team and get everybody in the business on the same page about how your assortment's working. And it just, it's pretty easy to sort of demonstrate an ROI when everyone can see how things are going. You can just make the best decisions. And then our other product, the range plan, lets people take their knowledge about how things are performing and actually plan ahead and place deliveries, intended deliveries into the future, compare them against the budget, and then map out exactly how they want their product investments to get distributed over time.
Got it.
So we kind of provide a whole like end-to-end package for figuring out, just how your product's performing and how to optimize their performance into the future.
Okay, got it. All right, so I'm checking on the website again here, and yeah, it's pretty clear that you guys could bring some kind of ROI. I was curious as per the pricing. So how much do you charge? Is it like SaaS model on a monthly basis?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we charge an activation fee because we need to generally do a degree of technical onboarding to make sure that everyone's data is good and right, and that the different systems can be connected appropriately and consistently. And so we've charged an activation fee for each of the data sources that we connect, and then a monthly subscription fee. We've also, provide discounts for 12 months commit, and we sell our product on sort of a sliding scale, but our average monthly cost is around the $3,200 per month Australian. So for our international people on the listening, that would be probably what, 2,700.
Yeah, USD. Yeah, and Australian dollar, I think, is pretty similar to Canadian dollar. So yeah, it's around those because my brain works that way. But okay, so like, what size of business would you go after? Because it's kind of it can be expensive for a small business, obviously. So I think you'd go more with like medium size, right? Like say 5 million revenue and plus per year, correct?
Well, historically, we tended to focus on exactly between that, like between sort of 5 million and $1 billion businesses. So our largest customers are closer to $1 billion. But what we're starting to do is actually go down market a little bit, and we're focusing a little bit more on small, medium business. And they do pay a lower ticket price than that average selling price that I just mentioned. And so, our lower paying customers are sort of around the sort of $1,500 a month mark, which would be $1,000 US per month for both products. That is, so this is a combined package for our fashion analytics plan, and that sounds like sounds like a big number, but as you said, it's really easy to demonstrate to people how much a huge impact that we have when they're actually buying the right sort of set of sizes, and they're marking things down appropriately, and they're preventing their inventory from aging. All of these things,
because what like, say Shane, for example, what are their alternative? I'm not sure if it's the best example, but they would have to kind of have a data person like create that stuff from scratch, or I guess you also have competition, but like, what would be their alternatives?
Well, this is the thing, as I kind of mentioned at the start, most of them these days really are in Excel, and they don't usually have analysts doing this stuff. They have junior merchandise buyers that have not really got experience in thinking about data and thinking about making sure that things are consistent across the business. So a lot of the time, the e-commerce team will have a different set of numbers as to how things are performing to the marketing team, to the merchandise planners, and then the buyers will have different numbers, and then of course the owners will have different numbers. So they generally really struggle to keep them aligned at the moment, and so I think we kind of take that problem away. But during our early phases, when we were first selling the product, we tried to sell it purely based on the head count that we saved them, and we calculate that for our larger businesses that are up around the probably 700 million US dollar mark, that we could save them up to about 8 headcount per year. So they'd have a team 120 people, and we could save around, what's that, like 4% of their team. Wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If you translate it into number of hours per week and then dollars, for a small team it costs a lot more for them disproportionately, because they have so much less experience doing it. So yeah, it's a huge time sink for them. Just today I met with one of our customers, and they told us that every Monday, for this part of the business that we haven't helped them out with yet, they spend 6 hours every Monday working on this thing. And we're just about to release a feature in the next couple of months that will bring that 6 hours down to about 3 minutes. So and that's just an area we haven't addressed. So there are other areas that used to cost them, multiple headcount per week.
That's kind of wild. Do you integrate with any type of platform, say WordPress, Shopify? Does it even matter, or anything goes?
Yeah, it does matter. We originally, we traditionally have integrated with kind of anything that we could integrate with. We're pretty flexible. So at the moment, we've got something like about 20 different, tools that we integrate with, mostly ERPs, but also e-commerce platforms. These days, we're tending to focus more of our attention on the best ones, the ones that are the best at helping customers manage their own data, and the ones that are easiest to interact with them and reliable. Shopify is the cream of the crop on that front. BigCommerce is another one that we've been pretty keen on collaborating with. But ERPs tend to be a little bit less friendly. NetSuite's one that we integrate with pretty reliably.
Okay, we're kind of running out of time here. We have like 3 minutes left. I have a last question for you. You have a BDR in your team. So what does the BDR do to actually outreach to new client? Does he use LinkedIn? Does he use calls? Like how does he get new leads going in the business?
Yeah, we've used a couple of different techniques. His name's Phil, and he tends to reach out, like a lot of LinkedIn, a lot of networking. We've got a team of domain experts, which is how we continue improving the product to be highly curated for fashion retail. And those, they're all kind of in the network. They know quite a lot of people. We've tried using sales agency for lead generation internationally, and that was unsuccessful. But I mostly attribute that down to the approach that they took for generating lead lists, which is a bit of a problem. Recently, we've hired another sales team member, and we're about to hire another. We've also increased the size of our marketing team from 1 to 2. So yeah, we're going to continue experimenting with
200% increase.
Exactly.
I see expenses here. Are you guys bootstrapped, or did you get funding? Do you have any plans to get funding?
Yeah, I initially, while I was working at Amazon Web Services and working on stylearcade sort of on the side of it, and helped pay the bills and pay some salaries for a while. But as soon as we started growing the team, that didn't become possible. So we did friends and family round, and then we did a pre-seed round late. About to go back out to start funding again shortly, but we've got a business model, so we don't actually need funding, which is a glorious place to be. Australian businesses are quite well renowned for being kind of very careful with our cash efficiency, so we're kind of proud of that. Yeah, we're at that point where it's worthwhile investing in growth, so we're going to start walking that path.
Well, congrats on that, because it's a good place to be. We are out of time right now. It's been pretty cool to ask you a bunch of questions on your startup. Really hope the best for stylearcade, and thank you, Brent, for coming in.
No, thanks for your time, Charles. It's a pleasure.
Cool. Well, have a great day, and I'll keep you posted. Okay.
Sounds good, my friend.
Have a good one.
Bye
Bye.
bye.